Straight ahead on Law and Crime Daily. New body cam video of Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie.
Where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be honest.
He grabs my face, just like this.
The eerie prediction officers made about the couple's fate. And the federal trial of Elizabeth Holmes is back in session. How witness testimony is shaping the case against a former billionaire. Plus, Murdaugh murder mystery. Reports now claim Maggie Murdaugh met with a divorce attorney just weeks before her murder. And later, search history revealed.
He searched the Farmington Police Department Facebook page article specifically referencing a $50,000 reward for information leading to Sasha Krause.
The latest on the Mennonite murder trial out of Arizona. Law and Crime Daily covering court cases from coast to coast. Welcome everyone to Law and Crime Daily. I'm Brian Buckmeyer along with Terry Austin. Body camera video from a second police officer is giving us new information about what Gabby Petito told officers about an incident between her and Brian Laundrie. Law and Crime's Anjanette Levy is here with a video from police in Moab, Utah.
Brian, this video is from that August 12th traffic stop where a 911 caller reported seeing a man hitting a woman. The officers pulled over Gabby Petito's van and spoke with her and Brian Laundrie.
What's your name?
Gabby.
A Moab police officer spoke to Gabby Petito on August 12th after separating her from Brian Laundrie. Petito told the officer she got stressed out and Laundrie locked her out of the van.
Is there something on your cheek here? Looks like, did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here. That's new, huh? It's kind of a new mark.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Can I see the other side of your face? So, what happened here and here?
Petito told the officer a backpack quote got her as she tried to get in the back of the van. Then the officer told her two witnesses told them they saw Brian Laundrie hit her. She said she hit him first.
We want to know the truth if he actually hit you.
I guess, yeah, but I hit him first.
Where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be
He
honest.
grabs my face, just like this. He didn't hit me in the face, he didn't punch me in the face or anything.
Did he slap your face or what?
Well, he grabbed me with his nail, and I guess that's why it looks. I definitely have a cut right here, because I could feel it when I touch it, it burns.
This is what Laundrie told the officer at the beginning of the traffic stop.
I don't want to try and defend myself by saying anything here, but I pushed her away. She gets really worked up, and when she does, she swings, and she had her cell phone in her hand, so I was just trying to push her away.
The officers separated Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie for the night and did not file charges against either one of them. The officers then discussed the incident among themselves.
Too many times women who are at risk want to go back to their abuser. They just wanted him to stop, and they don't want to have to be separated. They don't want him charged. They don't want him to go to jail. And then they end up getting worse and worse treatment, and then they end up getting killed. In no way, shape, or form that I can perceive does what happened here, a little slap fight between fiancés who love each other, want to be together, can I perceive that this is going to digress into the situation where he's going to be a battered man?
Right.
But then again, I don't have a crystal ball.
It's very hard to watch that now, given everything we know that's happened since. Now, the officers had explained to Brian Laundrie that a no-contact order was being issued to Gabby Petito, meaning she couldn't contact him until the next day. If she did, she would face charges. Laundrie was being treated by those officers as the victim in this case. Brian?
Thanks, Anjanette. Joining us today is Professor of New York Law School, Kirk Burkhalter, and Terry Austin. Kirk, as a retired NYPD detective, what are you seeing and hearing in this video that may give clues as to what happened to Gabby Petito?
Well, first of all, it is quite sad to watch. So here sounds kind of like a classic battered woman's syndrome. The police officer identifies bruises. She says that she was grabbed in the face, but then she starts to backtrack. She's crying, she's clearly upset. But then we hear further this officer making this prediction that they were in love and so forth. It's quite possible that there was a history of some type of physical contact, physical abuse. It doesn't appear, in my experience, that this would be the first time that this ever occurred. And perhaps this got out of hand.
Absolutely. Terry, hindsight is 2020, but there's nothing you saw in this video that makes you think the officers should have arrested Laundrie then and there, right?
That's right, Brian. I don't think either one of them should have been arrested right then and there. There's room for debate here, and hindsight is 2020. You hear Gabby saying she was the initial aggressor, but it could have been the fact that she was afraid and didn't want to talk about Laundrie as being the aggressor. Then you also know that the 911 operator said something about the fact that the witnesses were the ones seeing that Laundrie was the aggressor. So these police officers were really trying to take this information in, determine who was right or wrong. They separated them. Who would have known? There was no crystal ball, like the officer said, to determine what would have happened as we know today.
Absolutely. I think there's no fault there on the officers and what they did. And Jeanette, what's the latest on the search for Brian Laundrie?
Well, the FBI is still looking for Brian Laundrie. We know that there's been a search of that Carlton Reserve in Sarasota County. It's a 25,000 acre, basically a swamp. So they've been looking for him there. Dog the Bounty Hunter, as we've been reporting, has also been searching for Brian Laundrie. So there's really no sign of him that we know of at this point. And I do want to mention that the Moab police chief has taken a leave of absence after this video came to light. And there's also an investigation going on into the officer's actions by an outside agency. So it'll be interesting to see what they determine.
Absolutely. Thank you for that update, Ann Jeanette, and thank you all. A high-profile ballet couple is accused of sexually assaulting, grooming, and threatening young dancers. The court pleadings allege long-term sexual violence by former Boston Ballet star Dusty Button and husband Mitchell Taylor Button, dating back to as early as 2010. 5 dancers have come forward and allege the couple, quote, exploited their position and power of influence in the dance world to sexually abuse young dancers across the country. Some saying Taylor Button groomed them with text messages, explicit comments, and separating dancers from their families. In all, the couple faces 37 charges against them. Their attorney has denied all accusations. This week on the Cocktails and Cocktails podcast, Sergeant Sean Sticks Larkins sits down with Tulsa Special Operations Team Commander Mike Eckhart. After being drafted by the New York Yankees in 1988, Eckhart made a career change and found a passion for law enforcement. Here's a sneak peek of this week's episode when Eckhart recalls a friend who introduced him to the world of policing.
I was talking to Danny frequently, and he was kind of relaying what this experience was like. And the more I listened to him, and the more I recognized how excited he was about what he was doing, the more excited I got. Oklahoma City had a rule that you had to be on the department for a year before you could have a ride along. So we actually, at the time, had one of those calendars that hung on our refrigerator, circled the date for his year anniversary, and I went down and rode with him.
You can listen to the Cocktails and Cocktails now on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you can find podcasts. Still ahead on Law and Crime Daily, Murdaugh murder mystery. Reports now say Maggie Murdaugh met with a divorce attorney just weeks before her murder. But first, Friday marks day 10 of the federal trial against Elizabeth Holmes. Hear from our legal analysts who break down the defense and prosecution's case so far.
Hi, this is Dan Abrams with exciting news for all of our Law and Crime followers on YouTube. You can now get the live Law and Crime Network with YouTubeTV for all of your daily live trial coverage, legal news, expert analysis, and original true crime programs. Subscribe to YouTubeTV today and then locate Law and Crime in the channel guide. And for only $1.99 a month, you can add the network to your bundle. Watch Law and Crime every day with YouTubeTV. We put you in the jury box.
Welcome back to Law and Crime Daily. Gripping testimony in the federal trial against Elizabeth Holmes is taking a stab at the functionality of Theranos' blood testing devices. This week, jurors heard from former Theranos lab managers and associates alike, who said the Edison device promoted by Theranos gave varied and sometimes inaccurate results. Dr. Addon Rosendorf, a former Theranos lab manager, says he knowingly signed off on results that were inaccurate after receiving pressure from Holmes and former COO Ramesh Sunny Balwani. Rosendorf also claimed the pair ordered lab workers to stay inside with their doors closed when government inspectors visited. Theranos associate Dr. Victoria Sung testified her company Celgene stopped working with Theranos after just 1 month, citing various test results and validation issues. Holmes founded the now-defunct Theranos in 2003, claiming her Edison device would revolutionize blood testing. Later tests found the device had many issues. Holmes now faces 12 fraud charges in connection to her time with the company. Let's bring back New York law professor Kirk Burkhalter and Terry Austin. Terry, I wish we could have cameras in court because supposedly Lance Wade, Holmes' attorney, and the witness Rosendorf got into it a little. Can you describe the tiff and how it may have hurt the defense?
Sure. Rosendorf basically was trying to say the technology was not ready and that there were some quality control issues. And then Wade, the attorney for the defense, basically was saying, shouldn't you have noticed that? And he said then he added a little jab about, isn't that why you get paid the big bucks? Then, of course, Rosendorf on the stand said, no, but you get paid more. And the jury laughed. You never want the jury to be laughing at you. So I think he should have just held back and done more of a straight examination of that witness.
Yeah, you want them to laugh with you and not at you. Definitely a good rule of thumb. Kirk, the prosecution is putting forth what I would describe as a Russian doll of lies. Theranos lied about tests, to lie about drug companies, to lie to pharmacies. Is there a defense for a prosecution like that?
There certainly is, and the defense is easy in theory, but certainly more difficult to execute. The job of the defense is to knock down each and every piece of evidence that the prosecution is setting forth. So if you accept those Russian dolls, she's guilty. However, the prosecutors must pick away at every little piece of evidence. In this case, it's going to be quite difficult because the evidence is so high in volume.
Absolutely, and stacking up more and more. It kind of reminds me like when you play Jenga, maybe the defense can pull out one piece and let the whole thing fall apart, but these Jenga pieces seem to be as heavy as a brick. Thank you both. The estate of the late Jeffrey Epstein agrees to release a once confidential agreement at the request of an accuser heading to court against Prince Andrew. Virginia Giuffre says Prince Andrew sexually assaulted her in 3 locations, 2 of which were Jeffrey Epstein-owned properties. Giuffre says Epstein trafficked her and made her have sex with his friends, including Prince Andrew. In August, she filed these claims against the Duke of York, saying she was 17 years old at the time. Now, the previously sealed settlement agreement between Giuffre and the late Epstein will be released in Prince Andrew's lawsuit. After weeks of dodging service, Prince Andrew formally stipulated that Giuffre successfully served him with court papers last week. And one more identification and one more sentence have been issued for the Capitol riots that occurred on January 6, 2021. Cleet Keller, an Olympic gold medalist who swam with Michael Phelps, was identified as one of the rioters in the Capitol by his former teammates and coaches. At the time of the riots, he was wearing an Olympic Team USA jacket. And an Air Force veteran who posted a photo next to Nancy Pelosi's office was sentenced to 45 days behind bars for his actions on January 6th. The judge thanked Derek Jankart for his service. The veteran apologized for his actions and claimed that he did not destroy anything in the building and urged others not to as well. Coming up on Law and Crime Daily, more testimony from the Mennonite murder trial and newly discovered powerful evidence. Plus, the twisted crime web of Alec Murdaugh. What's next for the prominent South Carolina attorney following the deaths of everyone closest to him? Welcome back. It's a murder mystery that has been captivating the nation, with even more twists and turns for Alec Murdaugh. The prominent South Carolina lawyer is the subject of a convoluted web of crimes. Back in June, Murdaugh called the police to report that he found his wife Maggie and his son Paul shot dead outside their home. 6 weeks before the murder, it is alleged that Maggie Murdaugh met with lawyers to discuss a divorce from her husband. The South Carolina lawyer then resigned from his law firm, later revealing that he was misappropriating funds during his time there. In September, Murdaugh pulled over to change a tire when a gunman shot at him and grazed his head with a bullet. Murdaugh later turned himself in, admitting that he hired a hitman to take him out so that his surviving son could collect an insurance payout. All of this came 2 years after his housekeeper mysteriously died in a trip-and-fall accident at the Murdaugh home. Gloria Statterfield worked at the home for over 2 decades before her death. Upon her death, there was a $500,000 wrongful death claim filed against Murdaugh on her behalf of her estate. The estate has not received any of that money owed to Satterfield's children, are now filing for a motion that Murdaugh be arrested and detained until the money he allegedly embezzled from her estate is returned. Let's bring back New York Law School professor Kirk Burkhalter and co-host Terry Austin. Terry, jail or pay, is that a thing that could be the best way for the Satterfield estate to get the money they're owed?
I don't think putting someone in jail is the best way to get the money that's owed. Look, they have a $500,000 settlement for a wrongful death claim. And in order to enforce that, they need that judgment and they need to file a lien against the assets. So they need to locate assets. And if they can do that, they can liquidate or sell the assets to enforce that judgment. That would be the best way to go, not necessarily putting him in jail. It could cause pressure, but they're not going to get any money by doing that.
Makes sense. Now, Professor, Murdaugh hasn't been charged with his family's murder, but with a hired hitman and evidence his wife was looking to divorce him, should those murders be reevaluated?
If he hasn't been charged, yes, they should be. As long as evidence is still, new evidence is still being uncovered, absolutely. However, if it could have been done the first time, it's unlikely that this new evidence just sheds such a bright light. However, I have no doubt that law enforcement will be investigating this for quite some time to come until he's formally charged.
Yeah, there's a lot of rocks to overturn in this case. We'll see what happens as they continue to lift each and every rock in the Murdaugh murder mystery. But of course, we'll keep you aware of each one of those as every twist and turn continues in the Murdaugh murder mystery. When we come back, more on the Mennonite murder trial, the damning search history of a U.S. airman accused of murder. More on the Facebook pages he visited before the body was discovered. Welcome back. In Florida, the Parkland school shooter will stand trial on Monday for an unrelated crime where he attacked a jail guard. Nicholas Cruz faces 34 counts of premeditated and attempted murder for the shooting in Parkland, Florida. In 2018, the shooting killed 17 students and staff members. In an unrelated incident, Cruz is set to appear in court on Monday for attacking a jail guard 9 months after the shooting. In a hearing on Tuesday, the defense argued that this case should not go to trial because the entirety of the video and audio of the incident was not preserved. The judge denied this motion, ruling that there was no due process violation. The trial will begin on Monday with jury selection. And in Arizona, damning evidence is shown on the stand against U.S. Airman Mark Gooch. Investigators say he sought out missing persons reports and rewards after Mennonite Sasha Krause went missing. 22-year-old Gooch is charged with theft, kidnapping, and first-degree murder of Krause. He pled not guilty on all charges. The Sunday school teacher was last seen in January 2020 near her Mennonite community in Farmington, New Mexico. Her body was found about a month later near Flagstaff, Arizona. At the same time, Gooch was stationed at an Air Force base in Phoenix. Experts say Krause died of blunt force trauma and a gunshot wound to the head. Prosecutors say Gooch, who was raised in the Mennonite community, had disdain for the faith. The defense argues Gooch traveled to the Mennonite community to reconnect with the religion. This week on the stand, investigators detailed Gooch's search history, revealing he sought out information about Krause's murder before her body was found.
Note of the Farmington Police Department Facebook page, the San Juan County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, and the Farmington Police Department Facebook page, specifically the article referencing or requesting information for deceased.
All right, Sasha Krause.
Sasha Krause. On the 2nd of February, 2020, he searched the Farmington Facebook page, specifically the missing article of Sasha Krause. And then on the 21st of February, 2020, he searched the Farmington Police Department Facebook page article, specifically referencing a $50,000 reward for information leading to Sasha Krause.
Kirk, I know it's not an element of any of his crimes, but seeking the reward for someone you're now accused of murdering, how odd or twisted is that?
Well, it is very twisted. It's odd. However, the defense might use it as just in the reverse. Well, why would my client seek out this reward if my client had committed this crime? However, here you have all the other searches in conjunction with that. So it's very odd, and it just goes to this really bizarre behavior.
Yeah, I definitely expect the prosecution to use that fact against him, along with the litany of facts they have in this case. Terry, how do you think the prosecution will twist that fact to try and convict Gooch? Or do you think there's an innocent explanation that the defense can use?
You know, these computer searches are very damaging for the defendant, both the content and the timing. If, in fact, he is doing a missing persons search after she went missing, the inference there is he has information about where she is, and he wants a reward about that because there was a reward that was put out for that. And if he's searching the computer for information about a murder before her body was found, the inference there is that he knows she was murdered. So either way, I think the prosecution can argue that he was searching something he shouldn't have been. And the defense can just say, maybe he was curious.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a defense that can be put forward. Maybe he was curious, maybe he's just searching like anyone else that may have been looking for her. But when you have such strong circumstantial evidence aside from that, I think it'd be extremely difficult for the defense to prevail on that argument. As you said, Terry, just fact upon fact upon fact that is very damaging. Did you see any mention by the defense that may have come from underneath this circumstantial evidence, though?
You know, I don't know just yet whether or not they're going to find any additional information based on these searches. I do think that they're going to find additional information as far as the timing of all of the driving that he did.
All right, well, thank you for joining us here on Law and Crime Daily. We'll see you next time as we discuss justice in America.